Me, presented by Prize Picks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of the CLNS Media Network. The Boston Bruins take Game 3 from the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto. My name's Joey Capone. That's Rob Dacci. Rob, the game is back in Toronto. Didn't matter. Bees won.
It didn't matter. They still won. I think that might have been their best performance too, which is promising. Yeah, I mean, Game 1 was pretty great, but I don't really need to compare it to the other games, I guess. It was just a very good performance from them. Like, very good, especially the third period. But I was very pleased with that game.
It was a great game. Great game. I would, again, I mean, there's no need to compare it to the other games, but if we were to, I would probably take the Game 1 performance. I think the Game 1 performance was probably a little bit more dominant. But going on the road after a loss, about all you can ask for. Boys looked good. You are going to be just steering the ship of this show. You have the notes on this game that we're going to be going blow by blow through, which, I mean, a frustrating one if you're a Bruins fan, just from the perspective of having your heart in it and wanting, I don't know, a fair fight, wanting things to go, I don't know, according to the rule book. So I will be here reacting to what it is that you have to bring up and doing my best not to scream into this here microphone.
What are you implying right now? I'm genuinely not sure what you're implying.
I'm implying that so the guys the 5 people Bruins skaters on the ice plus goalie.
Yep.
5 skaters on the ice plus goalie in the white and blue, which is what everyone calls them.
Yes.
There's a couple other people, 4 of them. They were black and white.
Who were they? They were in the way.
I don't know who they were, dude, but they were pissing me off because they kept putting our players on that little bench where you can't play, and then you have less players out there. And I wasn't a big fan of that.
I'm going to interrupt the bit if you don't mind. Just to say, I love when there's a game where both fan bases feel like they're the most justified in being mad at the refs. Right.
I don't understand how you have 5 power plays and have shit to say, but go on.
Well, or that's probably the best, most poignant place to start is the whole conversation around Leafs Nation being pretty pissed off about that. I will give credit to the Leafs fans that like I listen to, like I go out of my way to be like, all right, how do they feel about this? They're like, yeah, the like Dangle was like the refs bodied us, and then like more so emphasizes like, but we had 5 power plays and didn't score on any of them. It's 6 shots on 5 power plays, 0 goals. Yep. So they get so many power plays, it almost like undermines their argument that there were very specific and pivotal moments where the Bruins should have been penalized. I'll start. We could start with a few of those. The McAvoy, what was the McAvoy hit on Matthews, where he kind of just puts his arm around him and throws him down, like almost like reverse tackles him. It's a weird hit.
Mm-hmm.
I could see it getting called like a hold or something, but like he probably should have been. But
probably should have been a call.
In the playoffs, I'm like, yeah, no, it's just an atypical play. It's not like, oh, you see so many of those. I'm like, you don't see that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just because it's Matthews too. It's like it's if you tore down like their 4th liners, maybe nobody would give it as much a shit, but it's Matthews, so you do. And then the big one was the little tussle. And I don't know if you noticed, but Brad Marchand and Tyler Bertuzzi don't appear to care for each other when on the ice.
Things have changed. Yeah.
Oh, how they have the scuffle right before Frederick's goal. So that's just they were just battling each other and hitting each other, and the refs seem very content with like letting them do whatever so long as it's to each other. They're like, look, keep it contained, knock each other's teeth out. I don't care.
I mean, it was practically amidst the goal for one thing.
Yeah,
but also are Leafs fans, please tell me that this is not the case. Are Leafs fans saying that Marchand and Marchand only should have been penalized on that play?
I don't know about only, but they at least think the play should have been blown dead at that point.
Why
If
did
you
they do
were
that?
going to call a penalty on both of them, you still blow the play dead.
So
But
they
because it,
so they wanted the play blown dead. I'm gonna guess this here. I'm gonna go out on a limb here, Rob. Did this thought probably crossed their minds? Again, there's no way we would ever know this. That thought probably crossed their minds after there was a goal scored on the play, right?
well,
Would you guess that too?
and the very brief moment in between, like you can see, so you can hear the fans losing it, which makes it so perfect that is exactly when Trent Frederick scores to tie the game.
But it's like,
Like,
are
but
you
you can
if
you
there's
can
no
look at the
goal in that
crowd.
play?
They're standing with their arms up. Like, why was that not called? And before they can finish complaining about it, Trent Frederick finds the back of the net, which is
That's
so
dumb.
good
That's
for
dumb.
us.
Why
That's
would you
so
want that
perfect
play
for us.
blown dead? Why would you want that play blown dead? Why would you
If you're a
want
Leafs fan,
you're like, hey, I want matching penalties right now? What a dumbass complaint. There's no way they think that. There's no way they're like, have you ever in your life thrown your hands up and been like, why the hell aren't they calling matching penalties right now
well, I
in
think
the
you
middle of
were
the
right
play?
to say that it was probably compounded by the fact that they immediately got scored on. Like,
Yeah,
if
it's
nothing happened,
100%
then whatever, you forget about it. They've been like, oh, that could have been a penalty. But because it caused the game to get tied, they're like, well, fuck off.
exactly. It's hindsight. It's retrospect to be like, well, actually, you know what? They should have made matching minors on that play. You want that? You wanted? Were you upset in the moment that they should have had matching minors for John with each other?
Well,
Like it's
I can explain why there wasn't a penalty called,
by all means, please go ahead.
because Brad Marchand is an artist. Brad Marchand
Right?
is elite at drawing calls. I don't know if you heard this. I forget who
Yeah.
said it. Somebody named Sheldon. Keep hearing that
Probably
name a
nobody
lot this
important.
series. If you don't know what we're talking about, which I assume you do, but if you don't, Toronto Maple Leafs head coach making comments post game about Brad Marchand saying, quote, he gets calls. It's unbelievable, actually, how it goes. You've got to play through that stuff. I don't think there's another player in the series who gets away with taking out Bertuzzi's legs the way that he does. It's an
Yeah.
art, and he's elite at it.
Yeah.
And like, it's snide aside, he's right. Like, Brad Marchand is elite at that. That is part of his game. He draws more penalties than anybody. And who knows the line better than the person who's crossed it many times?
Yeah. I don't, the tone is hilarious though. To be like,
It
oh
is.
yeah, he sure is good at getting all the calls. Like that's what he's saying. That's what he's really saying.
Honestly,
What
if
he's
you
really
listen
saying
to it,
is
the
like,
tone does seem genuine. Like, if you listen to how he says it, he's like, he's elite at it. Like, he doesn't even sound upset. I have to imagine he is, because why else is he saying this? But man, what are you gonna do? There's already been some good coach drama, because there was also the comment that Monty made about Domi bumping into Jeremy Swayman during a television timeout.
yeah,
So again, if
the very accidental knock into a goaltender. Yeah.
yeah, what are you gonna do?
Was there a call
So
there? Was there a call on that play, right? Because you can't be doing that after a whistle hitting the
yeah,
goalie. That's a big no-no, especially in like the unwritten rules kind of stuff. So what was he called for again?
nothing.
You didn't get a call?
No, not a
Oh,
thing.
well, they must have. Oh, okay. Well, did they wait till like play started and then call him for something soft?
I don't think so.
They didn't.
No, I don't think so.
Oh well, okay.
It's
Well,
because
then just
the
over the
refs are
course of the
in
game, then
Boston's
they gave the
pockets.
Bruins a longer leash. Then,
No,
oh, then what
shorter
did
if
they do to make
anything.
up for that?
Seemingly nothing.
That's strange.
It's almost like
That's
it
not.
wasn't anything. It's almost like Jeremy Swayman himself said, "Yeah, it's nothing."
Oh no, fuck that. No, that's what he's supposed to say. Fuck that. No, I don't believe
He
that.
actually he
No,
got
that's
interviewed by Emily Kaplan during the intermission, or maybe post game, where he said, "I got to do more push-ups, Emily. It's just a collision. It's not that big a deal. 50 of them happen a game, but I'll do more push-ups."
yeah. No, that's just him saying the thing he's
It's
supposed to
just
say.
yeah. He was so in the zone though. There was like one of those crazy like scrambles in front of the net towards the end of the game. And like, it's one of those ones that your heart's in your throat, because like you're just waiting to see the player celebrating that it somehow crossed the line.
Yeah,
And they zoom in on Swayman coming up from it, and he's just grinning ear to ear. It's like,
psycho.
yeah, psycho. Um, But back to the Domi thing. Monty talking about coach drama, not drama, coach comments. Saying when Domi goes off the bench and bumps him on purpose makes me think that maybe he's in their head a little bit. And then Keefe, Sheldon, replies, with that logic, you would save, you could say every time they bump into one of our guys, maybe we're in their heads. I don't think that has anything to do with anything. It's not. Are you comparing Domi like, oops, I skated into you, to the 133 hits that took place in this game, which was 5
everybody
away?
knows. Yeah, everybody knows that hitting a goaltender while play is dead is the exact same thing as playing a physical game of hockey. If I was my dad right now, which I'm not, I've never been him, but if I was him, my dad would be like, you know what? He's perfect in Toronto. Fits that game perfect. Belongs in Toronto.
Too bad his days may be numbered. Yeah. Did you see Maroon after all that, or like during?
Oh yeah, he was trying to get in there, dude.
He was red in the face. The refs were holding him back. He was on the bench and he was still screaming, like yelling across the bench.
That's old school unwritten rule shit. That's old school unwritten rule shit. And if you didn't have Pat Maroon, I would have been at home screaming like, why didn't anybody do anything there? Why isn't anybody in their face letting them know, like, we saw that, got your number? That's why you got Pat Maroon. That's exactly what you have Pat Maroon there for, is for those moments, to be that guy, to mitigate those kinds of situations and to make sure that they don't happen again.
Yeah, I can't imagine this series without Pat Maroon. Already 3 games in.
He's been great. He's so fun.
I think he maybe has 1 assist so far, I think, but at least 1 assist. But just
I will say, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I will say that when Pat Maroon gets to the end of a shift, when he's been out there 40, 50 seconds, I'm only thinking, like, get him off the ice right now. Get him off the ice.
That happened. He was out there for, like, I would say more than 40 seconds. He was out there for too long, like held out there. And he was quite literally standing still at one point. Like, I'm not saying he was skating slowly. He was standing still on the blue line playing.
I know exactly the play you're talking about. It was the second period. It was the long change, and they just couldn't get the puck out of their zone. And there was a couple times he even turned towards the bench while the puck was in their zone.
Like, no, because he's like, it's going to take me. It's going to take me a minute and a half to even get over to the bench. So I'm just going to stand here and hope I take up enough space.
Yeah. So, like, that's the one thing with Pat is, like, you know, I'm keeping my eye on the clock when I see him out there. And if it's been more than 30, I'm like, all right. He's not
push him.
Yeah. He's not a viable threat on the ice if he's been out there for more than 30 seconds.
They're going to tie a rope around him and attach him to, like, Frederick.
Yeah. Or attach him to the bench just to be able to haul him back in.
He's like an old school diver. It's like tug twice when your shift's over.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some of the adjustments that were made going in this game. Putting Swayman back in is probably not an adjustment, but I want to talk about Swayman so we can start there.
Yeah.
What more can you say? Swayman now 5-0 against Toronto this season, including regular and postseason, with a 1.38 goals allowed and a 9.57 save percentage. Do you want Swayman in that game 4? We can just jump right to that. You do not. You want to rotate to Ullmark?
I want to rotate. I want to keep rotating, especially because Ullmark has been in that for 1 game and it was his loss. It was your 1 loss. I think you'd start to get in his head. I think I think a big part of the goalie rotation is keeping them both mentally in the right spot. And I think that would fuck with them if you're like, hey man, take a seat. Right. We're going to ride the hot hand. I don't think that you can do that again.
It's fair. I'm kind of back at the place where I'm like, I'm cool with either one of them. I do want Swayman though. I would say I'm more leaning towards wanting Swayman, probably pretty heavily leaning, honestly. I think the Leafs have a boogeyman complex, and I picked up that word from listening to a couple Leafs podcasts. Mm-hmm. They just seem to like build up certain goaltenders or opponents in a way that they just feel as though it is actually not possible to beat this person, and they just get incredibly in their own minds about it. So if that is the case, which I kind of do think is what is now happening with Jeremy Swayman against Toronto, don't rock it. Like, put him back in. I definitely think that it is like 60-40 from Montgomery's perspective that Swayman goes back in. I think Montgomery values the rotation in itself more than he values the concept that Swayman is like just completely in their heads at this point. I think that's more tangible to him, the rotation.
I think if you want to talk boogeyman complex, that the Bruins are the boogeyman. I don't think it's Swayman. I think the fact that they're playing the Boston Bruins in the first round again is enough of a boogeyman complex. I think that you could put Malcolm Subban between the pipes. I think that they're playing the Boston Bruins in the first round. Malcolm Subban did not need to catch a stray there. Sorry. But sorry. But you come here and you play a handful of games and you have like a 800 save percentage. It's going to happen. But yeah, I think if you go to Omar in game 4 and he poops his pants, I'm saying poops his pants. I'm saying 5 goals in 2 periods. Then maybe you ride Sway the rest of the way, at least through the rest of the series. But I think it's just, I don't like the idea of giving up on a guy so quick, especially a goaltender who are, in a general sense, head cases. I just don't like it. I don't want to get him off his game for the rest of the postseason. I'm trying to make a deep run here.
That's fair. I think this is where you and I differ, because I don't see it as giving up on Ullmark so much it is acknowledging what Jeremy Swayman is doing to this team.
Yeah.
I think it like, yeah, like you got the loss with Ullmark in that. It wasn't because of Ullmark. It wasn't because he booped his pants. Ullmark was the best player that night. No issue with his performance that game. Jeremy Swayman would have lost that game, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And we would be having a very different discussion. I mean, even we could play what if all day long, but if Ullmark got game 1 and got the win, and then you rotated Swayman and then he got the loss, are we having the same reversed conversation right now? Who's to say? Nobody can say. But I definitely think there's value to the fact that Toronto just cannot figure out Swayman, and they seem to be a very heady team. I think they are psyching themselves out of this series as each game passes, and I think Jeremy Swayman is helping them along the way.
I think the fans have psyched themselves out of this series.
Toronto fans, guys, are you okay? I know you're not, but are you okay?
No, they're not. They're not.
My God. It's unbelievable. I kind of feel bad. I don't, but I kind of do. Like when we as Bruins fans have like heated discussions because of the playoffs, it's about what of our A+ goalies to start.
Yep.
It is not whether or not the crowd was loud enough. That is a very foreign issue to me.
Mm-hmm. Well,
also,
it's a conversation in Toronto. We talked a little bit about it before game 3. We were like, it's not going to be the same there because that's not who sits at these games.
Yeah, I think I gave him too much credit because I said I was like, oh, they'll be loud, and they weren't quiet, but
didn't feel like a playoff game.
The Leafs play-by-play guy was calling out the fandom. I'm just full of quotes tonight, guys. Quote, the idea of going to any sporting event to support the home team is supposed to be proactive. I think I'm missing part of it, not reactive. Give the team energy when they need it, not sitting down and waiting to be reactive. There we go. The players can't say it, but I will. Tonight's crowd was very disappointing. Joe, what do you think the cheapest ticket is? Back row balcony at Scotiabank for Saturday night. Give me a number.
For Saturday night. Canadian or U.S.?
Canadian.
I don't know the conversion.
Don't worry. It's just what it's listed.
Canadian. I don't know what the
conversion from Canadian to US is like a 75%. It's like 75% of it. So if you spend 100 in Canada, it's $75 US.
Okay. Let's say back row 300 Canadian.
450 Canadian back row balcony for Saturday night. That is about 340 US. 330, I think.
Wow.
No, dude, yeah. Fucking, I mean, the whole conversation is like how corporate Scotiabank is, and the real
Mhm.
fans are out on the square because they got priced out of the game, and the people who have that money are probably not the more rambunctious actual diehard fans, so no, they're not going to lose it as much in in Scotiabank. Dude,
Yeah.
the clip, have you seen the video of that guy in the stands, a Maple Leafs fan? Like, they must have just scored, and he's standing on his phone, and he's very kind of waving the rally towel.
No. God,
Dude,
that's just so
it's
upsetting if you're
unbelievably good.
it's hard to it's hard to even like shit on them for that because that is actually frustrating. That like goes beyond uh the rivalry. That goes beyond sports really because that's just it's awful how what sports are supposed to be versus what they are. Because that's
I
what
just
it
sent
is.
it
Like
to you. I
I've been
just
to one NFL game in my life because you can't go to Gillette. You can't go. Like you have to know somebody who has season tickets and has the flu. Like you can't go
I just sent you the clip if you want to take a look at it. It's
on
fantastic
Twitter.
on Twitter. But yeah, and that's like where, like, it's like they have a crazy passionate fan base, and like that, it's kind of the ghost of Christmas future for Bruins fans, like seeing real fans getting priced out. Oh yeah, you chuckling along. Guys, if you haven't seen this clip, I please look it up. It's
It's really good.
unbelievable. The guy looks so confused and
He looks
upset.
like so intent on his phone.
He
He's
doesn't look like a human
hardly there.
being. It looks like
No.
desperately he just gained control of his body for the first time in his life, and he found
Yeah,
himself
someone
at a
just turned
Toronto
his
Maple Leafs
switch
game.
on right now. That's
It's
really
it's
good.
unbelievably good. Yeah. So okay, so you want Olmark back. I'm fine with that. I'd like to see Swayman, but it's the best problem to have is having too many good goaltenders. An issue that the Toronto Maple Leafs do not seem to have. I made a comment right before we started recording where I very excitedly put in a new note about one of our recurring segments, which we
Oh
can
yeah.
workshop the name. Undeserving
Oops.
stars of the game.
Oh.
Third star of the game was Samsonov.
No.
No,
Wrong.
no, incorrect.
Yeah. Good
Like
try.
what? Like it's the home crowd deciding. Again, not crowd,
Or
but home.
it's the home media, isn't it?
There's a bias, yeah, but it went Swayman, Marchand, Samsonov. I refuse
Good
to
try.
believe that there was nobody else that could have been deserving of that third star.
You know what that reminds me of, dude, is that 57-0 Thailand versus Kuwait game that you brought up last show. The Kuwait goalie was named player of the game, which is just
Oh,
fucking rude, in my
that's
opinion.
so petty. That's so
That's
like,
so
ooh, you
rude.
tried your best. Don't
Oh,
worry.
4 saves,
Oh,
57 goals. Wow.
four saves. Four saves. To be fair, he made a lot more than four. The shots were like 122, and he
Oh,
only let
okay.
in 57.
You only
Could have been
let in
so.
57.
What's
It's
your goals to
crazy.
last? What's your save percentage? No,
No.
none,
What's your
zero.
save percentage?
I don't know what that is. Oh, that's good.
That's awesome.
So a couple other changes to the lineup. We saw Jacob Lauko come out, and I
Yeah.
said I was worried that Lauko was going to come out for JVR. I was
Mhm.
I said that, and I was wrong to feel that way because JVR had a very good game. Uh,
Yeah. It's
no
weird
disrespect,
to forget
no.
it's weird to forget, like, just how much veteran presence he brings.
Yeah, and like the speed was there, the defensive game was there. Two breakaway chances on one. He rang the no, it didn't ring the post, but it squeaked through Samsonov and went about a foot wide of the post. And the second one he got denied trying to go 5-hole. Those coming off of a Mason Lohrei stretch pass and I think a Johnny Beecher outlet pass on the first one.
Mhm.
Beecher continuing to be good. So no disrespect to Lauko. I did like what he had brought in terms of energy, but JVR was definitely more impactful in this game than Lauko had been in his.
Yeah. Different things, different, energies about them, and definitely, obviously, different play styles. I mean,
Yeah. Two very
similar
different players.
intensity. Yeah, similar intensity, which, like, you need from both. Like, if Lauko was gonna come out, there's an energy deficit that you definitely get, that JVR certainly filled. Some changes on the back end too, eh?
Yeah, how do you feel about Mason Lohrei?
I thought he had a good game. Did you
I
not?
thought he was. I don't know how I feel. I have a habit of like. So going into the game, I texted a few people. I'm like, he's either going to score in the power play or single handedly give the game away, and he really, really almost did. Like he kind of
Mhm,
tried to. So seconds after Toronto had tied the game 2-2, he
mhm.
just made the softest pass you've ever seen on the backhand from behind the Bruins net right out in front. And because Jeremy Swayman was in net, it wasn't a goal. It was a scramble. I wasn't even like I just was mad. I wasn't even like sad about that. I thought it was going in. I really thought it was going in.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm a little hyper focused on that. But beyond that, I there was a lot of times where I didn't notice him, which is not a bad thing as a defenseman. And again, I really like that nice little stretch pass, outlet pass he made to JVR. So I would expect to see him again. I don't think you see as many tweaks after a win. I don't think they're like, all right, well that worked. Let's go with that again.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I
Watherspoon,
mean, unless I was gonna say the only thing that would change is if Peak is good to go, that maybe, Lohrei Peak
well,
changes,
Peak is
but
like done. Though. Peak is week to week,
yeah. So, I
so
mean,
he's out.
unless something crazy happens there, uh, I don't see any more changes coming. But yeah, you're saying Wotherspoon?
Yeah, I very much like Watherspoon's performance. He got the game jacket. First shift of the game takes a wicked shot off the inside of the knee,
I thought
which
he was
I
done.
didn't play. I didn't play hockey, so like I don't have a reference for what that feels like. But holy shit, that's gotta suck. Like, oh my god, I
Yeah.
worked with a guy not long ago who told me he was playing. I think he was just beer league, and he
Mhm.
blocked a shot off the inside of the knee, and it tore his ACL,
That's
which is
crazy.
a horrifying sentence to hear. Never mind have that event happen to you.
Yeah.
So I also thought he was done, but it was in the first like 5 minutes. You had Watherspoon appear to be done, and then
Mhm.
he was fine. And then Mason Lohrei took a penalty. He took two penalties this game, actually, both of which I was like, they weren't like that bad. Like, sure, call them, whatever. But that was another thing. It's like, stay out of the box. Like, do not take two penalties in your first game.
This
Uh,
game was a tough one for that, though, because I don't know if you noticed, they called a lot of them. They were calling
They
everything,
did.
so
They did. They called a lot of shit, and then they called. There was some ticky tacky stuff I thought they called, and then some pretty egregious stuff they didn't call. Like there was a John Tavares high stick on Charlie McAvoy right in front of the net, right in front of the refs. Nothing. Not a
brought
thing.
Chuck to the ground.
Yeah, 10 minutes into the game, like at
Yep.
the 9 something mark. So I don't know what was going on with the refs. Like again, like I've just been consuming so much content online from like mostly Leafs fans that I'm starting to have my viewpoint from the game itself just skewed and being like, wow, the rest. I'm not going to say that the rest were giving Boston calls because the Leafs had 5 power plays, so that's not what happened. I don't know what I'm
Are
trying to say,
you
but
are you, like, getting converted right now? Like,
to Leafs fandom,
am
no.
I watching my friend, like, fall into a cult? You're like, actually,
I'm
Leafs
like,
fans have a point. Is that what's happening in front of
this
my
is like
face?
this is like an anthropology thing for me. I'm like,
What the
I'm
hell
like
does that mean?
I'm gorillas in the mist. I'm just like, I want to observe these people in their native habitat and be like,
Yeah,
how do
but
they
you're
live?
not
Like, what's
but now you're coming away being like, "Maybe they're smarter than we thought."
when did I say that?
A minute ago,
Oh
you
no,
said something that made
am
me
I?
think that you're commiserating with the enemy. Is that
It's our mission to be unbiased. Sometimes we go too far.
not mine. Not mine.
Not yours.
It's not my goal. My goal is to have fun watching the Bruins, and I have the most fun when the villain is, a sad Canadian city,
It's really
which is
easy.
another word for a Canadian city, to put it another way.
It's good.
Yep.
Um, back to Wotherspoon briefly to wrap up
Back
that
to
note.
Parker, back to Parker.
Back to Paka. Paka.
Tough kid.
Wearing the game jacket tarp off, like just the jacket.
Hell yeah.
Excellent look. And when he gets it, I don't know who said it, but you can hear someone in the locker room say, "It stays with the D now, boys." Which I was like, "Ooh, yeah."
Love
I
that.
like that they're almost like competing for it.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. Love that.
Yeah. So that's it for the adjustments, and then Grizzly also coming out because
Yeah,
Lohrei
well,
and Spoon's going in.
the
Which
thing is, I mean, there was some pushback on that, dude, because as much as people hate on Grizz, like I saw some people calling out the fact that like Monty, I don't want to say he's hypocritical, but like he makes some statements about what's important to him, and Florida's up 4-2.
Christ,
He makes some statements about what's important to him, and seemingly goes against it. Grizz being one of those moves where neither Wotherspoon nor Lohrei adds speed to your game. Grizzly, that's maybe the one thing that he brings to the table.
yeah,
And if we're gonna speed and what?
Good passing. Those are the two things I really like. Nobody can take away from Grizz.
Sometimes
Great acceleration and a good passer. He's
Sometimes
very stretch passes. He's probably him and McAvoy probably the best two in the back end for that.
McAvoy, I would give it to Chuck. I would give the.
I mean,
I would
give everything to Chuck.
heartily.
Chuck is the best defenseman in nearly every metric on this team
Yeah, but
because he's one of
Grizz,
the best
I don't know.
defensemen in the world.
Monty talked about being quicker and whatever after the loss, and then pulled Grizz out, which I thought was like, I don't know. I feel like if there's one thing, if there's one thing if you're going to emphasize speed and then take Grizz out, I don't know. Feels a little weird. And then also Lauko for JVR, like the exact same thing, where it's like neither are speedsters, but JVR certainly doesn't have the legs he used to.
Lauko can fucking move. Lauko can really move.
He can move. He can move. I mean,
Again,
he's
it's
also
one of the only things he
so.
has.
So it's just weird. It's like you can't emphasize that and then like take out the guys who bring that.
No,
so I just thought
that I totally know what you mean. That's fair. So talk about Swayman a lot, being Jeremy Swayman incredibly important to this game and series. I had initially put a lot on Brad Marchand, saying I expect him / need him to be the one dictating the pace, the one taking over the game, not necessarily in the scoreboard, but that would be a nice boot too. And then in the games 1 and 2, good performances, but I was like, okay, maybe I set my expectations like 5 to 10% too high, or like just a little like, okay, this what he's doing is more than enough. And then game 3 happened, and then he did exactly what I had wanted him to do. There are extracurriculars, the go ahead goal, like 30 something seconds after Toronto tied it, icing it with the empty netter, just being all up in Tyler Bertuzzi's business. It was such a good game. Oh no, I am getting converted. Even Leafs fans were like, "That was a great game." Like even they have to tip their hat to Marchand after that game. But they're a little upset about like the missed call, sure. But there's just no denying how impactful Brad Marchand was in this game.
You don't think he looked old?
I wrote that note down too. Maz, or
Tony Maserati,
one of our dearest friends, one of the biggest fans of this show. It's Paul Correa and Maz. Those are the two. He tweeted about at 8:43 p.m. Marchand looks old, and then like 45 minutes later, Marchand scored to take the lead back. He also got ratioed by Dale
He didn't
Arnold
just score. He didn't just score. He snipped a beauty top shelf where Mama keeps the cookies, and you know it.
That is like the most Brad Marchand goal possible. Just the back foot snapshot with like less than half a second with possession of the puck. There's so many angles shown from that goal. I still have not seen one that showed where the daylight was before that puck went in. I don't, because like Samsonov was over, like he was on that side and pushed, and that still went over his shoulder. And
Marchand was like, yeah, I got my spot. Yeah, I got it.
It's how many guys in the NHL are ripping that shot like that? Not many.
There's two guys on this team. Two guys on this team.
And great plays by Heinen and Frederick, two guys that like I get. Frederick's a guy too that I was calling for a bit more from, and he had an excellent game, best game of the series for him by far,
without a doubt.
It's just Brad Marchand, man. It's just so cool when he does the Brad Marchand thing.
Worth mentioning.
And there's so many Marchand things. Sorry,
worth mentioning. Tied for all-time playoff goals in Bruins franchise history now with a one Mr.
Cam Neely.
Cameron James Neely. I don't know if that's his middle name.
I looked up the stats, actually. It's pretty interesting. Neely had 55 playoff goals with Boston in 86 games.
Damn.
Yeah, he had 55 goals and 32 assists. So just over a point per game. And Marchand has 149 games. And he has 55 goals, but he has 79 assists. So he has 134 points in 149 games. So not over the point per game, but fucking close enough to it. 79 assists.
Yeah. Where is he at in terms of playoff points? Do we know?
I do not know. I can look that up.
Yeah, Bruins all-time playoff points leaders. I mean, he's got to be near the top.
Ray Bourque is at the top, 161 points. Brad is second. Brad is he's 30 points behind Ray Bourque. Ray Bourque played 32 more playoff games than Brad currently has.
Who's going to overtake him this series? Maybe not the series.
This series. And they're winning it in 5, which is the craziest part. Yeah. Oh, that's another thing.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
I know
all right. Yeah. Okay. So Brad Marchand scores Brad Marchand scores the empty netter. He's skating back to the bench. He looks up at the Jumbotron, gets an eye on the clock, looks down at the bench as he's skating by, says, "Hey, still 35." Being like, "Hey, we're not done." Great captain thing to do. Oh, love it. Like, doesn't give a shit that he just scored. He's like, there's still a game going on. But the Maple Leafs fans were very quick to be like, Brad Marchand mouthing to his bench, "It's over in 5." Bulletin board material.
Okay.
I'll admit the first time I watched it, when somebody told me that's what he said, you can see him say 5. That's like the most obvious lip reading thing. I was like, well, all right. And then it took one person to be like, no, he says still 35. And then you rewatch it and you can see it and you can hear it. Like, if you listen for it, you can hear it. So, yeah, that's what he says. But that did not stop Leafs fans from running with it for an extended period of time.
Listen,
Brad Marchand wouldn't he wouldn't say that to his own bench, too. If he wanted to fuck with the other team, he would say it to them. But he was talking to his own bench.
That's the thing, too, is it's Brad. So if he wanted to say that, he would say it to you. He would say it with a camera in his face. He would say it in his post-game interview. He'd be like, yeah, we're taking this in 5. He would just say it. Like, when has he ever been shy about that? So that,
but he
it just doesn't
would.
make any sense. And the Leafs, you guys really put that bulletin board material to work. Oh man, yeah, you guys really listen. All for the past week and a half, all we've been saying is like, God, I hope we get Toronto. Hell yeah, we get Toronto. That's so funny that we get to beat the shit out of Toronto.
The team may have purposely lost to get Toronto.
There's a theory that's like pretty legitimate that the team might have lost their final game to play Toronto, and you guys are like, whoa, bulletin board material. What? We're beating you at home right now. What are you talking about?
I also I gave Scotiabank too much credit again. I got to reel my own self back in here because I was like, all right, they're going on home ice. That was the 5th straight playoff loss in Toronto.
Good.
They're 5 and they were 1-5 in the postseason there last year. Awesome. They won 1 playoff game in 2 rounds at home.
That's awesome.
Fantastic. But 5 straight losses, my goodness, that's tough.
Bulletin board material.
Well,
the good news is the real fans aren't there to see it anyway, right?
That's true. Can't afford it.
Yeah.
I kind of mentioned this very quickly earlier, but 133 hits that game, which was 5 away from tying the NHL record for a regular season a regulation postseason game.
Wow.
It didn't really feel like it was 130, like a hit every 30 seconds.
No, there was one stretch where Revo decided that he was going to hit 7 people in 10 seconds. So that might have skewed the numbers a little bit.
That was the one time I was like, damn, this place is getting loud. It's like when he flattened Pavel Zacha. And before that, Benoit got Pasternak really good too. There were so many consecutive hits that the Twitter feed turned into like, can somebody respond to this? Like, can somebody go out there and hit any one of them?
It was crazy because you felt Revo. It almost felt like Hulk Hogan when like, he's doing like the power up thing with the fans where he's like, I can feel the fans'
Yeah.
energy. Like Revo hit somebody and then he would turn around and like where's somebody else? Where's the puck now? Who can I hit now? And like the second and third one definitely felt like he was like, yeah, more. Do you want more? And honestly, I was kind of like, this is pretty fun. I would like if somebody responded, and I would like if a hit was the other way. But from a pure entertainment standpoint, I was like, this is fun. This is playoff hockey. From if I was watching as a Blackhawks fan, I would be like, damn, this is a fun little whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Fun little sequence there. You're right. That was the only time where it felt like, damn, this is a really physical game. Damn near tying the playoff record is crazy. It didn't feel like that.
No. Wait, if there felt like there was more hits in the first game. Maybe, I don't know, because the Bruins had, what was it, 659? I'm just making up numbers. 63 hits. This is saying it was 137 hits, so I don't know what's going on. Hits are weirdly so subjective, too.
I know.
Like, what can and cannot be considered a hit? I have no idea.
Yeah. Like along
you
the
see
boards, I don't know.
the Bruins game was outwatched the Celtics game in Boston.
Wow.
On average, there was 343,000 watchers from the Boston area watching the Bruins game and 292,000 watching the Celtics game.
Wow. So not even really close.
Not really. That's a pretty sizable difference. That's like a 20% difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Also, this game kind of is like highlighting to me a bit more. Samsonov is not a great goaltender.
No, that's why
he's like really not. Like, yeah, that's kind of it. He's just not a great goaltender. Like,
there was talk between games 2 and 3 that kind of spawned in the media about the Bruins mentality from an offensive standpoint really should switch to pepper Samsonov with shots. And then they did it. And it worked. It was crazy. Like that Freddie goal, they don't take that shot in game 2. Let alone like also most goaltenders don't allow that goal. But like that's exactly the point. Like they started they adapted mid-series. I think that says a lot. Not only with their personnel, from a coaching standpoint, but from an execution standpoint, we're like, oh, okay, like, yeah, let's give it a go. And it worked. So like I don't see how what's cool about that adaptation, like in series adjustment, is like there is no counter adjustment from Toronto other than to like have a better goalie or to like suddenly make Samsonov a better goaltender.
Shit, they figured out that we're not good at this.
Damn. Oh, well, why don't we try the strategy where you're fucking better? Can you do that? And that's not going to
look at Samsonov. It's like I no, I can't. No, that is
unfortunately
not.
I am
not in my repertoire.
Unfortunately, coach, that was my best. So there's no counter move to it. So like you have to imagine that going forward, you're going to see just a lot more shots, a lot less setting up the ideal scoring chance, and a lot more manufacturing one by throwing a puck at a bad goalie, which is exciting to think about. That like the next few games, they're probably going to just overload him more.
Yeah. The Freddie goal is absolutely the best example. It's like that should not go in. An NHL goaltender should stop that shot. I think Frederick appeared to be surprised that was a goal. Like the DSLR photos coming out of him after that goal, he's almost like, oh shit, like okay. And again, how perfect is it that it is in the wake of the Leafs fans losing their mind over a non-call on Brad Marchand? It was just perfect. It's the most perfect sequence that could have happened. So we talked a lot about Marchand. He got like the team going at practice earlier that day too. Monty was saying it was like minutes before Monty even took the ice, and Marchand already had everybody out there going. He was like, "Let's go." To the point where Monty was like, "I knew we were going to have a good game. I knew we were going to play well because of him." And DeBrusk had a good comment saying, "When he gets in his little ball of hate mode, that's usually when good things happen for the team." Which is like, hell yeah, keep doing it. That is exactly why you have had so much success in your career. Is exactly because of games like that. They're like, you were a mosquito in their ears, specifically Bertuzzi, and then you go ahead and score the two most important goals of the game.
Did you see the other Jake quote? About playing on the PK. Thought that was fun.
Yeah. He, Adam Pellerin telling him that he played over 3 minutes shorthanded. He's like, oh, no wonder I'm bagged.
Yeah. Wow, it makes a lot of sense.
He's so genuine. Like Jake never appears to be in like media mode. He's just talking. Like he's just vibing. I love
Very
Jake.
evident in the Bachelor series on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He
Oh,
just lets it fly. He's awesome.
we came
Love
so
Jake.
close to not having Jake DeBrusk on this team too. All right. Would you consider 9 goals, 5 assists in 17 games to make him a Leaf killer?
Fit 12 points in 17 games.
14, 9 goals, 5
14 and
assists.
17.
So far, he has 3 goals and 2 assists in this 3 games alone.
I would say that does.
He is tied with, well, it might change by the time this comes out, but as we record, tied with Zach Hyman for second most points in the league for the postseason at 5.
No.
And Brad Marchand is tied at first with 6 with Connor McDavid. Some decent company.
Yeah, that ain't
I
bad.
heard they're pretty good. I don't watch a lot of
That ain't
Edmonton,
bad.
but those, you hear those names, they make their way over here.
It also, just for a tired argument, just to be insufferable for a moment, it only furthers the conversation about just how much better the Bruins are when Jake DeBrusk is on. When he's going,
dude,
the
yeah.
team is just better, and like he's the guy you just need to be like a viable secondary scoring option, or a primary scoring option. And when he's on, he's awesome.
I don't think
there was a question about whether or not the playoffs would it come out of him. I hope it stays this way. He's a lot of fun to watch.
I don't think there's any Bruin I get more excited to see score than Jake DeBrusk.
Yeah, and well, we get to tweet the Jake video. Follow us.
We get to tweet the Jake video.
Pod.
I didn't know I had the extended version, so I will let you tweet it from the future. It's too long.
It's too long.
Too long.
The Jake video is my favorite thing. And in case you don't know what the Jake video is, that is my father. That's my dad screaming,
reacting to an empty net goal.
I'm reacting to an empty net goal in Tampa in a different row than me. We couldn't get seats together. So he's sitting like a row and a couple of seats behind me, or a couple of seats like down the row from me. And when I turned around, because I was like taking a video of Jake, I turned around to my dad, and he had walked over down the aisle right behind me.
Red in the face.
Scooched in front of like 5 or 6 people so he could get in my face and yell, Jake, Jake.
So good. Fantastic. Awesome. Oh man, I got some random stuff going on. I was watching the Maple Leafs media availability videos coming out. They talked to a few of them, and somebody when talking to Morgan Riley. What did I just do here? Talking to Morgan Riley, referred to Brad Marchand as a master of the dark arts, which is pretty hard. That's pretty cool. I like that. I don't hate that at all. That feels respectful. That's better than elite artist, I think.
Yeah.
Also,
Rat King.
I may be outing myself as a little hockey stat ignorant here.
Hit it.
Did you know that regarding the plus minus stat, it doesn't count if you score a goal on the power play? It doesn't count towards your plus minus, and if you let up a goal while shorthanded, it doesn't count towards your plus minus.
I did not know plus minus was only regulation or even strength.
It's not even just even strength, because like if you let up a goal when you're on the power play, it's a -1. But if you score a goal when you're shorthanded, it's a +1. And I noticed I had
in advantage.
Yeah, I noticed this because in game 1, DeBrusk had 3 points and had not been on ice for any of the on the goal against, and he was only a +1. And I was like, what's that about? And I looked it up. It's because all of his goals are coming from the power play. Literally.
Wow.
The Bruins, he has scored 3 power play goals so far. The Bruins are 5 for 10 on the power play in this series.
Wow.
And Maple Leafs are 1 for 11. If you told me going into the series that the Bruins would be 5 for 10 and 3 of them came from Jake DeBrusk, I would have slapped you for getting my hopes up. that would have been a genuinely unbelievable stat to hear.
It's so cool that like the Bruins were in a slump not a slump coming into the end of the
Yeah.
year. Swayman wasn't looking his best coming into the end of the year. The power play was abysmal coming into the end of the year. And then they were like, what if we fixed all of it? What if all of it was fine? Should we do that?
Even fueling the argument that the Bruins lost on purpose to face Toronto. Also,
Mm-hmm.
it's the call an ambulance, but not for me. Like, oh no, we're
Yep.
struggling. Are we? Like,
Oh,
the
we're
last
limping
3
into
years of Jake DeBrusk's career have been a ruse, so the Maple Leafs didn't think that he was going to score this many goals on him in this specific series.
We're limping into the playoffs just to beat you with our crutches.
I thought you said crotches.
We'll beat you with our crutches.
I'm sure there's a clip during one of those scrums of somebody power thrusting into somebody else.
I'm sure.
Did you notice that in one of those scrambles in front of the net, that Leafs fans were like yelling, like signaling over to the refs as the whistle blew? Oh,
No.
you got a big reaction. What happened in that
Yeah.
Florida game?
Yeah, a minute and a half left. Goalie pulled. Steven Stamkos just literally played goalie, like took his stick out and played goalie and took a shot in in the testicles.
In the crotch. It's relevant.
Yeah. Just that was crazy, and he stayed down for a moment. But it looks like, unless something changes here, that Florida is about to take a 3-0 series lead. Which is,
I don't like to hear.
Listen,
that.
I like them getting rest. I like them getting rest. Rest on up.
Yeah. But yes, what I was referring to is that scramble where the players were signaling over to the refs as the whistle blew, and it appeared as though in the scramble that Lindholm or one of the non-Swayman Bruins was covering the puck with their body. I believe they were signaling because they thought it was in the crease and therefore would have been a penalty shot. It really clearly was not in the crease. I assume that's what was going on. And it's another thing that you'll see Leafs fans being like, why was this nothing? Like, why wasn't this a penalty shot? And other players are like, goes, wasn't in the crease. Maybe learn the rules. I don't know.
Fun. It's fun when you're the Canada City and you don't know what's going on. Florida is certainly taking a 3-0 lead. Matthew Tkachuk empty net goal, and Steven Stamkos took that shot off of his knee. I think I just had crotch on the brain. So,
crotch on the brain. So, episode title.
Must have crotch on the brain. Love Rihanna. Are you gonna go ahead and say that you're happy that the Bruins are going to face the Florida Panthers in the second round, or should we not give them bulletin board material and we should play these games?
We should also wait until we are out of the first round.
Is that what you're saying?
We did exactly this last year where we were almost immediately talking about the second round, which was the most we ever got to discuss the second round. So I'm gonna be a little humble here and be like, I'm
excited to play.
Let's wait till at least we even have a 3-1 series lead if that's what's gonna happen.
I don't even like hearing those words, 3-1 series lead.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, they're gonna take a 3-1 series lead and then a 4-1 series win. And I'm excited to play the Florida Panthers in round 2.
I'm going to refer to it in the hypothetical. Hypothetically, I do not look forward to playing the Florida Panthers. Although Pat Maroon being on the Bruins and Radko Gudas not being on the Panthers would make for a very different series.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there is something there. I got 2 more things I wanted to bring up.
I don't want
to dive too far into the Nylander thing because there's already so much discussion around something that there really isn't anything concrete to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Reports. Did you see reports now about what's been plaguing him?
No.
Migraines. Like a migraine so bad that they thought they were testing him to see if he had a concussion. Which apparently he's dealt with before and even switch over to a tinted visor to help with it. Mm-hmm. So in a human moment, that sucks. Migraines are fucking awful. As a Bruins fan, in a really, shitty way, anything to keep him out of the series right now. Do not wish it on him, but I'm not going to be too upset if we don't see William Nylander this series. I wish him all the best after the series ends.
Yeah, I wish him 5 more days of insufferable migraines. And then
Sorry, Willie.
I don't know. Some Aleve or something, I don't know. But that's nobody tell him about ibuprofen. Nobody tell him.
Nobody fucking tell him.
Have they found that out in Canada yet? Ibuprofen?
I don't think they have medicine there. No, they do. It's much cheaper. What am I talking about?
Yeah, it's one of the few
Samsonov,
things you
we
can't rack
need
on
to
them for.
duct tape Samsonov's helmet to his head because he needs to fucking relax. Like, oh, it's loose. It's a safety issue. I know it is. Keep your helmet on. Stop stopping the play. All right? Stop it.
Can't be happening. Can't be happening a third time. I'll tell you that
I'm
much.
against it.
One time you get a pass. Second time I ain't too pleased. Third time, nope. I don't know what nope means. I don't know what I can do about it, but I do know
Fool me
a third
once.
time would make me go, nope, no more of that. Nope. And if you're a ref and you're reffing this whole series, the third time you would be like, this can't keep happening. There's been 4 games. We can't, if it happens, in game 4, they got to do something and be like, look, this is a little obnoxious. The helmet's got to be able to. And I forget who it was. Might have been Razor saying like, yeah, pucks aren't built to take helmets aren't built to take pucks there. Why?
Why?
That's what they're built to be, goalie helmets for hockey players, right? Are they not? Are they not building it with pucks in mind? Because they should be.
It's like the Death Star. It's like there's that one specific angle where like, well, we didn't plan for this. Like maybe you should have, probably should have, definitely should have.
Yeah, there's a Greek story about that too.
God of War.
Yeah.
Did you see PK Subban's comment during the broadcast?
About his penis?
Yeah, PK Subban references penis on the air, and it did not go over well with most people.
No, it was very weird.
I genuinely, when he was retiring, among many people, was like, he's gonna make a really good like play-by-play guy, or even just like a color commentary, like a talking head, any one of those. I had a faith in him. I don't like him very much. Like I don't think he does a too great a job.
I think he's always been pretty cringe.
Yeah, that's it. He's cringe. Everything they do feels forced, and the whole bit with like Messier being like, "Oh, you're gonna touch the cup. You're gonna touch the cup." Like it was like maybe funny one time, and they do it almost every time I see them.
I thought it was just the one, and I thought it was too much.
No, I've seen it at least 3 times. Like
I
one
thought it was
very recently, and he keeps like goading him into it. It's like, no,
yeah, that's like I don't know. That's like a bad SNL sketch. It's like it's not good. No. I listen, Biz and Wayne and all them by a mile.
Yeah, and that's the response is like they want to be the TNT broadcast, but they're not.
Yeah, by a country mile.
Like you don't even want to compare them because it's not a comparison.
No,
it's like one is doing it right, one isn't.
The Hammer comment was like, I will come to his aid a little bit and say that it only was made weirder by, I forget who it was, being like, yeah, so I've heard.
Yeah. What is that for a follow?
That's the weirdest fucking thing you could say back.
If you didn't hear the quote, it was really out of context in the moment. Is I'm not a carpenter, but I carry around a hammer.
No, they were talking about somebody, and they're like, oh, they call him the carpenter, and the PK was like, oh, never mind, and they were like, what? No, say it. And he's like, oh, I was gonna say, they call me the carpenter because I carry around a hammer everywhere I go. And then it was quiet, and then whoever that was said, yeah, so I've heard. Which, I mean, just say,
might as well wink and say, I know.
Prove it.
No, you
do
don't.
Yeah, I bet you won't prove it right now, PK. Yeah, it was very weird.
Not great. So it's going into game 4 in Toronto, 2 days off. Montgomery wasn't thrilled about that. Also, I don't know if we talked about that.
Yeah,
Montgomery
I
had
wouldn't
a pretty
be either. He looks ragged, dude. He looks ragged.
it was a very tense press conference. Like, he was pretty pissy.
Yeah.
I think if he had been in a better mood, he wouldn't even have said anything about it. But I don't know.
It's funny
It's
how,
like,
like,
it didn't bother me. It didn't really seem to be that big of a deal, really, even to him. But it was a very big deal to Leafs fans. We're like, oh, they're already making
obnoxious.
excuses when they lose.
Just beat you.
Like, all right, okay,
No, it just sucks to be in your stupid ass city, dude.
yeah, nobody wants to be there.
Nobody wants to be there. Your players
Uh,
don't want to be there.
but
Just sucks to
yeah,
be there. And also, I will say this to them blue in the face. I don't care how sacrilege this is. I say this across sports, and it works for all of them but football. I think there's not enough at stake in the regular season in any sport. I just don't think there is. Like, the fact that you play all year just so that game 7 can be on your ice is so obnoxious. Like, I think that's so ridiculous. It's so undersold. So, like, the fact that, I mean, more series than not finish in the lower seeds building, and like you get the advantage in the final game. Like, I think it should be like either all in one city, which I understand isn't great for like city revenue or league revenue. I don't care. Or it should be that a team comes in with a ghost win. And I mean that, and that pisses people off. And I don't care. Like, it's just
like,
not enough
start
at
the
stake.
series 1-0.
Yes. Like, it's a 6-game series.
Damn,
Bruins are up 1-0. Like, that's what it should be. You placed higher. You should have a real advantage. You just played
that's heavy.
82 games. You just played 82 games. Make it mean something. Because then those final games really mean something. Like, you're fighting for 2 or 3 seed. Like, you are fighting for an extra win. Like, you come in with a big advantage. You only need to win 3 in the series.
That's a
I don't know.
lot. That might be too much for me.
People
I
hate it.
agree. Like, especially like with like baseball, it's like 162 games. It's like, come on. I just wouldn't know how to fix it. I wouldn't know how to inject more meaning into the regular season without it kind of just, I'm gonna say, undermining the postseason, but I think it just is what it is. It is just the regular season.
It just, I don't
You're
know. I
playing
feel
that
like it
many
should be
games.
2
What more can
games.
you do?
I feel like it should be like 2 games at home, 1 on the road. 2 games at
Or
home.
what if you got to choose your 4 games? You'd be like, we want games 1 through 3, and then game 6.
I think it should be 5 and 2. Like, I think it should be 2-1, 2-1-1.
All right, see, that's I can
So, like,
screw
you
with
get
that.
2 home games in the series maximum.
Interesting. See, I think
And
that's more reasonable.
and ready for this?
And
2 ghost wins.
3, like
Fuck it.
4. It's just, you just get the bye. You win. President's Trophy is the new Stanley Cup. You heard it here first.
I just think it should mean something, bro. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just, and I think
Mean
it's
something to
Monty.
me,
I don't
damn
know.
it.
I think that's something that Monty's getting at too. Is like, this sucks. Why are we doing this? Why am I here?
They did it
Why
for
am I here for this
TV.
long?
They did, because now they have games 1, 4, and 7 all set up for Hockey Night in Canada at prime time.
I don't understand that.
Yeah. So game 4
Why
will be
would
Saturday night at 8 p.m. in Toronto. And then the hypothetical game 7 would be 7 or 8 p.m. in Boston.
there's not going
So
to be
they
a
would
game?
have these slots.
There's not going
A
to be
lot of
game.
people are just like, this is still going 7. And it very well could. It's only a 2-1
No.
series lead right now. Starting to feel like it's not going to. Unless the Leafs do what they did in game 2 and just bounce back with a much, much, much better game. But if you were gifted, if you have 5 power plays, you score none of them, and you just get outplayed, I don't have a ton of faith in you. And the Boston I think there's a mental resilience there that Toronto just like famously does not have.
No, not even kind of.
I think there's talk about like the coaching being a really big difference in key factor in how the series will go. But I think that's what it comes down to. Is just, I think Boston can take hits and keep going in a way that Toronto just cannot.
Like literal hits.
Literal hits. But I'm super excited for game 4. I think and we said we needed them to at least win game 3. Now this is like, I think the 2-1, like the point of the series when it's 2-1, I think game 4 is like the most important game.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
sure.
obviously, if
Yeah.
it's 3-0, but like the difference between a 3-1 series and a 2-2 series is insane.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
obvious,
I mean, it's
yeah.
basically over. Or I mean, listen,
Easy now.
I'm not going to sit here and call a 3-1 series
Easy
over. That would be
now.
ridiculous. But it's either nearly over or right back knotted up, and you have a 3-game series in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. It's either it's on the verge of being over or it's an entirely new series almost. So that now,
Very important game 4.
and I'm not just saying this because I did buy a ticket to Game 5. I'm sorry, Mark. I can't stay away. Give me that Game 4 win. Give me that 3-1 series lead. Give me the elimination game in Boston, please. Please.
You gonna go on Prize Picks and maybe make a couple of selections for this game?
I just might. I'm a big fan.
There's a couple of mores that I really like.
I did get paid today, so
pasta shots mixed
that's
with
always an
Brad
easy
Marchand
one.
points.
Pasta shots and usually Matthew shots are good. I remember like there was a game last season. Matthews had like 14 shots on goal, and I thought I misread it. But yeah, no, I mean it's not even like an analyst take. It's just like, yeah, fucking win. Like,
win.
Don't give them any chance to get back into this at this point. Like I think you have the momentum. I think you have the edge mentally. I just really think they have the Leafs in a bad spot right now, from Toronto's sake.
Well,
and if and when Nylander returns. Well, try to end the series before that could even happen is another thing.
Let's wrap this thing up, boys.
Let's wrap
this up. I'm tired. I'm tired of watching this awful fan base.
I'm tired
of groveling.
Wasted.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, that's about all my rambling I got for now.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. We'll be back here after game 4. We will talk to you guys then. Thanks for hanging out. Follow us on the socials at bearwithme_pod. You can follow me at Joey Capone, at him at Rob Tachi. And like I said, at bearwithme_pod. Thank you to CLNS. Thank you to Prize Picks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of the CLNS Media Network. And as always, thank you for
bearing with me.